So today we're introducing this idea of sort of delving into what do we mean when we say the word hope, and how can we think about this? And I'm drawing particularly on two books. The book by Kate Davies that I referenced earlier called Intrinsic Hope, and the book by Elin, Kelsey, How to Be Hopeful, which we did the spiritual practice from. Kate Davies, in her book Intrinsic Hope, contrasts an idea of intrinsic hope with an idea of extrinsic hope. So she says, intrinsic hope comes from within. It's not determined by whether or not an outcome happens. It comes from a belief in potential and possibility in yourself, from a faith context, which we're adding to our work. It comes from a trust in God. That's the source of hope. Intrinsic hope exists whether or not the desired outcomes happen. It is not about a specific thing happening in the world, but a belief that change is possible and that we're called to actively work for what we wish to see. And intrinsic hope also accepts the world as it is. It's an eyes wide open kind of hope. Extrinsic hope, by contrast, can happen or not happen depending on what happens in the world. Extrinsic hope is how we often think about hope. Like, I hope that it doesn't rain tomorrow. Or, I hope that Canada does really well in the Olympics this time. And then your either hopes are fulfilled or disappointed. And as a result, it's easy to lose. As soon as the world doesn't meet what you hope for, that hope is gone. So Davies doesn't say, don't have extrinsic hope. Everyone has that kind of hope. But she says we need to spend time focusing and developing that intrinsic understanding of hope, that one that comes from a belief in the human capacity and our trust in Creator, regardless of what's going on in the world. So that potential is there. This is the kind of hope that is difficult, it's challenging, it's brave, it takes courage, and it requires us to act. One of the reasons that we're spending this time talking about hope is because in most of these issues, the climate crisis, issues of war and poverty and racial violence and gender violence, and the list goes on and on of all these topics that are dear to our heart and that we actively work on together. In most of these cases, the problem is not that we don't know about it, and the challenge is not that we need to learn what to do. For the most part, education isn't the challenge that we face. The challenge that we human beings face is having a hope that enables us to keep acting again and again, even when it seems like nothing is changing and nothing is getting better. Because when we stop acting, things will not improve. That's the challenge that we face. And that's why we're spending time just leaning into this idea of hope together. Because it's about that emotional and spiritual work that each of us is invited to keep engaging with. Not assume, I did that last year, I'm done, I got it figured out. Hope is checked off the box. That this is like an ongoing work, ongoing spiritual practices that enable the good action that we're already engaged in and opens up possibilities for action that we haven't yet thought about because it hasn't seemed possible.